Hello, hello, my darlings. So today we are going to talk about vagus nerve function. And I want to prepare you to go through this before you see me because it's going to help us kind of fly through your appointment a bit. So there's two arms of your nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic. Parasympathetic tells things to rest, digest, calm down. Sympathetic tells things go, be, do, action. Both sides of your nervous system are incredibly important. And it should be said, this is a gross oversimplification, right? A neurologist would probably argue with me that there's way more detail, and there totally is. And you should go watch intricate videos on neurology if you want an in-depth understanding of the nervous system. But we can essentially boil it down into two parts for our purposes today. Parasympathetic is actually governed really only by one nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, your vagus nerve. The vagus has two arms. It runs down through your neck, past your heart and your lungs. It ties your heart and your breath rate together. It also innervates your digestive organs and your pelvic organs, all of your organs actually. And it tells things to digest, to rest, to repair. So it's a really important nerve to assess the health of if you want to start to learn how well are you recovering, how well are you repairing, and how well are you resting when you actually give yourself time off. Now, this is important for healing a chronic illness because many of your organ systems are underperforming. Maybe they haven't been resting and digesting, and we need them to do that to heal. Additionally, it matters emotionally because your vagus nerve really becomes active when you feel safe. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So vagus nerve, parasympathetic, rest and digest. Other arm is your sympathetic nervous system, tells things go, be, do. You've seen these nerves, they run out of your vertebra, right? So between your vertebra. Anytime you look at an image of a spine and you see nerves coming out, those are mostly sympathetic nerves. Again, they tell things action-oriented tasks, right? Go, be, do, mobilize. So why does this matter for functional medicine and for whole person medicine, mind, body, spirit medicine? A couple reasons. Nerves are a bit like roads. So the more you use a road, the faster you can go the next time, right? So a backcountry road that's totally overgrown with weeds, you can't get down that road very quickly, at least not the first time you go. But if it's the 100th time and you've already cleared out the brush, you can sort of zip down it. There are certain nerve pathways that we want to be like superhighways. And in particular, the parasympathetic nervous system is what we want to be a superhighway if we're trying to help you heal. So how do we assess the strength or the superhighwayness of this nerve? We look at something called heart rate variability. So that is the variability between each beat in your heart. So maybe your heart rate is 60 beats a minute. Ready? Okay. So sure, 60 beats in 1 minute, but actually the amount of milliseconds between each beat is supposed to vary. It varies when your heart is doing a good job of hearing from both your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. We want it to hear equally from both, and we want to have it hear more from the parasympathetic when we're trying to keep you calm, rest, and digest. So if you have a very small heart rate variability, that means it's pretty much the same beat to beat. That's okay. But for cardiovascular system resilience, it's not optimal. Oops. So we want that to be really wide. We want that heart rate variability to be very large. We want that number to not be something like 20. We want it to be close to 200. The typical scale we measure it on is 20 to 200. So we'll look at your heart rate variability when you come in. We can assess that very easily. It's not invasive. You clip a little monitor on your ear, and we can look at heart rate variability and start to make inferences about perhaps how you're orienting and how strong your parasympathetic nervous system is. And then we'll devise a customized plan to help use that to help you heal. Now, there are many ways to exercise the vagus nerve. One is through paced breathing, not deep breathing, although they can be the same, but paced breathing. For most people, resonant frequency breathing is the rate at which your heart and your breath are tied together, right? So you breathe in, your heart rate goes up. You breathe out, your heart rate goes down. Breathe in, your heart rate goes up. Breathe out, your heart rate goes down. That's what's supposed to happen when your heart and your breath are tied in resonant frequency breathing, which happens when we're in mostly parasympathetic. So for most people, that's about 6 breaths a minute, right? Or 10 seconds per breath, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Yours might be different. We're going to find your individual resonant frequency when you come in and then help you practice to get a healthier one, the healthiest one possible for you. You're going to notice when you drop into this type of breathing, you instantly feel calmer. You instantly feel more in control. And this is your birthright, to feel this way and to know how to feel this way when you want to. Many of us have grown up not really knowing how to breathe, being in sympathetic most of the time, hyperventilating, right? And so we're predisposed to anxiety, to feeling distressed, to feeling out of control. Your breath is one way that you can activate your parasympathetic nervous system and use it to add more calm to your life. So we're going to teach you to do that. There's other ways you could strengthen your vagus nerve or the strength of your parasympathetic nervous system. Another is deep sleep. So you get most of your deep sleep between about 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. If you're missing some of that window because you're a night owl, it could be part of why maybe your parasympathetic nervous system is not doing as good a job as it could be. We're going to talk about deep sleep when you come in. There's other ways to exercise your vagus nerve, surprising ways like singing, humming, splashing cold water on your face. That will activate the mammalian dive reflex. When mammals dive into cold water, we have a reflex that will drop our heart rate so we consume less oxygen and we can stay longer underwater. It's thought for like when we used to hunt underwater, when there are mammals who hunt underwater. Pretty cool. Singing and humming work because your vagus nerve actually helps to innervate some of the muscles in your throat that control your voice and your volume. There are so many other things you can do, but that's just a start. So hopefully this gave you a good foundation and understanding of the parasympathetic nervous system and the vagus nerve's role in health. Now, one additional thing I need you to know. So your vagus nerve has a nucleus in your brain, like most cranial nerves. It's cranial nerve 10. And that nucleus has two parts, ventral or front and dorsal or back. Ventral is where we're able to kind of operate from and send most of our signals from when we feel safe, when we feel like we're in an environment where people are friendly, when the faces around us have pleasant expressions on them, and the voices that are talking to us are the kind of more sing-songy rather than, hello, what's up? When we feel safe or we feel liked or we feel relaxed, then we can operate mostly from ventral vagus. And that exercise is a really powerful influence on our rest and digest, our cardiovascular system, right? We stay really healthy when we're mostly in that space. When you're in dorsal vagus, that's more of a shutdown response when we feel too overstimulated or afraid. While that can be really life-saving to go into this place where you kind of freeze, maybe stop breathing. Think about a mammal, like a little bunny rabbit who's scared and they want to camouflage. They stop, they freeze. That's okay for a couple seconds, a couple times in your life. It's not okay to be in that space all the time. It's not healthy, right? And so if you're spending a lot of time there, and you might be someone who finds that you really shut down under stress, you freeze, you can't find the words, you feel overwhelmed, you can't connect to your emotions, right? You might be more in dorsal vagal shutdown. And our job is to help you safely move out of that and into more of a ventral vagal response. So we talked about ventral vagal, dorsal vagal. Now there's your sympathetic response. That takes over when you're in fight or flight, right? So kind of when you're like running away, fighting verbally or emotionally, or you're just kind of reacting. That can be very helpful for survival, right? If you have to run out of the way of a bike that's about to hit you, very useful. You want that skill, but you don't want to live there all the time. And you certainly don't want to live there at work or during a normal conversation with your partner or your kids. You want to be in ventral vagal because that's where you stay relaxed. And then you really have deep access to a place of your own values, and you can act from your values rather than simply reacting. So I hope this has given you a good overview of the nervous system for when you come in and we have your appointment. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I can't wait to see you soon.